There is a sound that precedes the sunrise, a vibration in the air that exists before the first light ever breaches the horizon. It is a holy stillness, a suspended breath in the lungs of the universe, where the darkness is at its deepest, yet the promise of morning is at its most inevitable. You are standing in that moment right now. This is not merely a metaphor for the passage of time, nor is it a poetic way to describe a change in your circumstances. It is a spiritual reality that is unfolding around you with the weight and majesty of a turning tide. God is speaking. He is speaking right here, right within the chambers of your heart, and right now, in the very seconds that tick by as you receive these words. This is not noise. This is not the random static of a chaotic world or the coincidence of an algorithm bringing you to this place. This is a divine appointment wrapped in the terrifying and beautiful clarity of heaven. For a long time, you have strained to hear him. You have listened for a shout, for a thunderclap, for the earth to shake beneath your feet, to confirm that you have not been forgotten. But he is not whispering anymore. The season of subtle hints is closing. He is saying it loud, with the resonance of a king commanding his army to advance. Let us go, not later. Not when the bank account looks sufficient. Not when the relationships are all smoothed over. Not when you feel safe or sorted or perfectly put together. The command is for tomorrow. But understand this clearly. When the Creator of time speaks of tomorrow, he is not pointing to a date on a calendar that you can circle in red ink. He is not speaking of a 24-hour rotation of the earth. He is opening a spiritual window. He is declaring a shift in the epoch of your soul. You have been in a season of waiting that has felt like a lifetime. You have walked through the corridors of silence, crying out in the dark, asking the walls why the answer has not come. You have fought battles that no one else saw, wars waged in the quiet of your mind, while the world assumed you were at peace. You have wondered, in your most honest and desperate moments, if your prayers were merely hitting the ceiling and dissolving into nothingness. You wondered if the sky was made of brass. But heaven heard every word. The angels witnessed every tear that tracked down your face in the privacy of your room. The silence was not a rejection. It was a container. It was the soil in which the seed of your destiny was breaking open, dying to its shell so that it could rise as something new. And now, the answer is on the way. Not as a vague possibility, not as a hopeful maybe, but as a kinetic promise that is already moving toward you with the force of a freight train. The prophet Isaiah wrote that when the time is right, the Lord will make it happen. There is a sovereignty in that timing that defies human logic. The delay has broken. The dam that held back the waters of your blessing has developed a hairline fracture, and the flood is imminent. The silence has lifted. This is your signal. It is the sound of the trumpet in the camp. It is time to prepare. But this preparation is not about packing a physical bag with clothes or gathering your earthly possessions. It is about packing your soul. You must clean the clutter of the spirit. You must lighten the load of the heart. You must make room, vast and hollowed out room, because what is coming is so significant, so weighty with glory and purpose, that it will not fit into the old version of your life. You will not understand it all. Let that truth settle you. God does not require your understanding. He requires your trust. He is not handing you a blueprint with every measurement marked out in inches. He is extending an invitation to walk with Him. When He says, "Let us go," it is not a suggestion to be debated in the committee of your fears. It is a breakthrough in motion. You were chosen for this specific intersection of time and eternity. Deep down, beneath the layers of doubt and the scars of past disappointments, you know it. There is a stirring in your chest, a flutter in your spirit that recognizes the voice of its shepherd. That is your spirit saying yes, before your mind can even formulate the question. Stay in this moment. Do not rush past it. We are walking toward a threshold together. If you are ready to walk into your purpose with faith rather than fear, you must align your heart with the frequency of heaven. You are not too late. You have not missed the boat. You are not a forgotten project on God's workbench. You are right on time. God has said, "Let us go." And this time, you are not watching the cloud move from a distance. You are moving with it. Something sacred is unfolding. It was written into your story before the foundations of the earth were laid. Long before you were formed in the womb, before your lungs took their first sharp intake of oxygen, this hour was etched into the architectural plans of your existence. You may not see the full picture, but heaven has already moved the pieces on the board. What feels to you like a sudden, jarring change is actually an ancient design finally arriving at your doorstep. Consider Esther. She was not raised in a palace. She was an orphan, a child of exile, living in a land that was not her own. She did not have the pedigree of royalty, but she was placed in the palace for a reason she could not see until the shadow of death fell upon her people. And when the moment of crisis came, when the fate of a nation hung in the balance, her cousin Mordecai did not tell her to think about it. He did not tell her to weigh the pros and cons. He said, "Who knows, but that you have come to your royal position for such a time as this." That is the weight and the wonder of what is happening to you now. This is your moment. It is not just a new day. It is a shift in destiny. You have been walking through deserts of doubt, whispering prayers into silent nights, wondering if God still sees you. He does. The silence was not absence. It was the hush of the artist concentrating on the masterpiece. He has been building the road beneath your feet while you were standing still, terrified to take a step. Now the time has come to move. This movement is internal before it is external. It is a migration of the heart. Imagine you are standing in the center of your life, a suitcase open on the bed of your soul. What do you take with you into this new era? You do not take the heavy, moth-eaten garments of shame. You do not take the shoes worn thin by walking in circles of regret. You take courage. You take the wisdom earned through every fire you have walked through, the kind of wisdom that does not come from books but from survival. You pack your faith, resilient and tested. You pack the praise that you offered up in the midnight hour when you had every reason to weep. But just as importantly, you must know what to leave behind. The Israelites, when they were delivered from the iron furnace of Egypt, walked out with their bodies free, but their minds were still enslaved. They carried the chains of their past in their memories. They longed for the leeks and onions of captivity because they were familiar, while the manna of freedom terrified them. You cannot make that mistake. You cannot take the mindset of a slave into the land of promise. You cannot take the voices that told you that you were not enough, that you were damaged goods, that you were too old or too young or too broken, Those voices belong to the dead season. Leave them in the tomb. God is not just calling you out of a situation. He is calling you up to a higher vantage point. Forget the former things. Do not dwell on the past. See, He is doing a new thing. Can you not perceive it? It is springing up right beneath your feet like wildflowers cracking through the pavement. This is a spiritual relocation. You are not being sent into a void. You are being placed into something prepared. Think of Ruth, grieving and widowed, stepping into a field in a foreign land to glean leftover grain. She did not know the field belonged to Boaz. She did not know that her obedience in the small, painful things was leading her straight into the lineage of the Messiah. She simply walked. Your obedience is leading you into favor you did not earn, but was stored up for you. You didn't miss it. You are right on time. So, what do you do in this countdown? How do you occupy the space between the promise and the manifestation? You stay alert. You stay humble. You keep your spirit uncluttered. The countdown is not a pause. It is a charge. Every second is soaked in purpose. It is the stillness of the orchestra conductor raising the baton before the symphony erupts. It is the quiet right before resurrection. When Jesus stood before the tomb of Lazarus and said, "Come out," the stone had already been rolled away. The miracle had already been authorized in heaven. The command was merely the earthly manifestation of a divine reality. When God speaks over your life now, it is to awaken the dormant greatness within you. Do not underestimate the silence. It is the final inhale before the release. Do not resist the urge to pack light. What is ahead will require room to grow. It will require space to breathe. A heart burdened by the old weights of bitterness and unforgiveness cannot fly. What is coming is not just a new day. It is a new way of living. Tomorrow begins the rest of your life. Right now, whether you realize it or not, you are standing in a sacred in-between. It is a liminal space, a hallway between doors. The door behind you is closing, and the latch is clicking shut. The door ahead of you is opening, spilling light onto the floor. It is like watching the tide shift, knowing the ocean is moving beneath the surface, even though the shoreline looks the same. Spiritually, emotionally, mentally, you are straddling two dimensions. The life you have known, the one shaped by pain, delay, and misunderstanding, is slowly releasing its grip on your ankles. The life you were always meant to live, the one designed by God with intentionality, healing, and favor, is already beginning to rise on the horizon. This is not a void. It feels like one, sometimes. It feels empty and confusing, like being suspended in midair. But it is a divine cocoon. Transformation happens in the dark. It happens out of sight. It is where God does His most mysterious and miraculous work. He is preparing you not just to enter a new season, but to become the person capable of sustaining that season. If you were given the crown before you had the character, the weight of it would crush you. The old timeline held its lessons. It was not wasted time. The pain you endured did not disqualify you. It refined you. It burned away the dross. Those lonely nights when your prayers felt like they bounced off the ceiling, God heard every syllable. The unanswered doors, the missed chances, the friendships that faded into ghosts, the betrayals you never saw coming, they were all part of the soil, where your roots were forced to grow deep in search of water. Those who sow with tears will reap with songs of joy. You have sown much. You have watered the ground with your grief. Now God is preparing the harvest. But before you cross over, there is a choice to be made, a letting go. Not everything can come with you. Some patterns of behavior, some memories that you replay like a broken record, some perceptions of yourself as a victim, they have to be released. Not because they were meaningless, but because they are now too small. They are the clothes of a child, and you are now grown. God isn't just changing your surroundings. He is changing your identity. You are not who you were. You will not be going back to the version of yourself shaped by survival. This moment echoes the story of Abram. He was told to go from his country, his people, and his father's household to a land that God would show him. No map, no GPS, no itinerary. Just a promise and a call to radical trust. Abram didn't just change his location, he changed his name. He became Abraham, the father of nations. That shift didn't happen by clinging to the comfort of Ur. It came through obedience in the unknown. You, too, are being called out of scarcity thinking, called out of the narrative that says you are always the one left behind. You are not too broken. You are not forgotten. You are not stuck. You are becoming. Crossing into this God-prepared reality means shedding the weight of yesterday. We are urged to throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles. You cannot run a race if you are dragging a corpse. You cannot run freely if you are dragging chains from a chapter that is already closed. The regret, the resentment, the grief you keep tucked away like old love letters, they were never meant to accompany you into the throne room. God is not asking you to forget the past as if it didn't happen, but He is asking you to release its power over you. What felt like loss was often divine protection. What felt like delay was preservation. What looked like silence was sacred strategy. There was a woman who prayed for years to be seen, to be valued. She wanted someone to recognize the depth of her heart. Every relationship she entered left her emptier than the last, hollowed out by rejection. She nearly gave up. But in that season of waiting, in that terrible silence, she began to see herself through God's eyes, not the eyes of those who could not perceive her worth. She stopped begging to be chosen and started walking as someone who was already the beloved. And not long after, without striving, without manipulating, she was placed in a role of influence and impact, far beyond what she had asked for. That is what happens when you stop forcing your way forward and start flowing in divine timing. You are not walking into just any future. You are being moved into one that was tailor-made for the real you. Not the filtered, edited version you show the world to survive, but the you God always saw. This is not ambition. It is alignment. You are God's masterpiece, created to do good works, prepared in advance. Your destiny is not random. It is prepared. But you have to be ready to move when the cloud moves. When the Israelites followed the pillar of cloud by day and fire by night, they didn't always know the destination, but they knew the timing. When the cloud lifted, they packed their tents. They did not argue. They moved. This is such a moment. Your spirit senses it. Even if your mind cannot explain it, there is a restlessness, a stirring, a quiet urgency that says, "Get ready." The acceleration that is coming will feel sudden to you, but it won't be reckless. It is heaven's response to your years of hidden faithfulness. God is about to do in days what you could not accomplish in years of striving, not because you earned it, but because you are aligned. You have yielded, you have grown, and now He can trust you with more. You are not walking into this next season empty-handed. You are walking in crowned, not because you are better than anyone else, but because God uses those who stay when it is hard, who worship when it hurts, who refuse to let go of the hem of His garment. So do not resist the shift. Let it carry you. Let it renew you. The timeline you are stepping into is built on promise, on mercy, on destiny. You are not here by accident. You never were. What is ahead is more than a breakthrough. It is your becoming. But before the shift arrives in full, before the doors fling wide open and the new season sweeps you into its rhythm, there is a quiet truth that must settle into the marrow of your bones. Divine movement begins in your character. Heaven's timing often feels sudden, but its alignment with your life has been in the making for a long time. What you choose to do in the now, this very moment, determines how you will step into what is next. God does not elevate randomly. He does not move people based on their emotional outbursts. He moves those whose hearts are positioned to walk when He whispers. He relocates souls who have learned to listen. The stirring you feel, the tension, the inner discomfort, it is not just anxiety, it is revelation. It is the Spirit of God agitating the nest to teach the eagle to fly. Recall young Samuel, hearing his name in the night. He didn't recognize the voice at first. He thought it was Eli. But eventually, he learned to say, "Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening." That posture unlocked his prophetic future. God often starts with whispers. He starts with holy agitation in places where you once felt settled. If certain conversations now leave you feeling diminished or drained, that is not random. If you walk into certain environments and your peace slips away like water through your fingers, that is not weakness. That is wisdom knocking on the door of your discernment. Start honoring those moments. You do not have to be loud or defensive. You do not have to cause a scene. Just gently, through small boundaries, honor your inner health. You are preparing your space like someone expecting a guest of honor. Because, in many ways, you are the guest. You are making room for the next version of yourself to inhabit your life. Look at your physical space. Go through your room, your workspace, the files on your phone. If something represents fear, clutter, unresolved emotion, or an outdated version of your story, release it. God does not require perfection, but He desires participation. As you clean, whisper prayers. God, remove what is no longer needed. Make space in me. Watch how peace settles where chaos once lived. Watch how your words change. There is a time for telling your story, but there is a time to stop rehearsing your pain. Stop offering your deepest wounds to people who do not have the medicine to heal them. Stop casting your pearls before those who will only trample them. God is inviting you into strategic stillness. You are not called to explain this transition to everyone. You are called to walk it. Your relationship with God doesn't have to look like a performance. He wants presence. 10 honest minutes of silence is worth more than hours of loud, empty religious performance. When Elijah ran into the wilderness, exhausted and suicidal, God did not meet him with a firestorm. He met him with a gentle whisper. Stillness sharpens your ears. It softens the hardness of the heart. It readies you to recognize divine timing, not just as a moment, but as a movement. And as you draw near, practice real-time release. When bitterness rises, hand it over immediately. When disappointment knocks, do not invite it in for tea. Offer it to God. You forgive not to excuse the person who hurt you, but to keep yourself light enough to fly. You surrender not to show weakness, but to stay flexible in the hands of the potter. Examine your habits. Are they feeding your future or your past? Your sleep, your diet, your digital consumption? None of these are secular. They are all spiritual. Discipline is not restriction. It is readiness. God is leading you into divine order. When the nudge comes to apply for something beyond your comfort zone, or to let go of something that once felt essential, respond. Don't wait for the guarantee. Obedience in the small things creates momentum for the monumental things. You don't need the full blueprint. You just need to trust the architect. As you live this way, the panic eases. The urgency is replaced by a deep, resonant trust. You stop rushing because you understand that preparation is the loudest declaration of faith. It says, I believe God is coming through, and I am setting the table. This is the sacred rhythm of transition. You are right in the middle of it. Every heartbreak, every delay, has been part of a divine arrangement. Behind the scenes, while you felt forgotten, God was weaving together the strands of your life. Not a thread is out of place. He is the editor of your story. He is aligning timelines and people in ways you could never orchestrate. What felt like chaos was construction. What looked like loss was loosening. The closed doors that left you aching, they were mercy. They protected you from rooms you were not meant to enter. You didn't miss it. You didn't fall behind. You were being aligned. God's alignment requires your surrender. He waits until your heart is ready to carry the weight of the blessing. Alignment is about posture being yielded enough to hear, responsive enough to move. You have been stretched in silence. You have grown in the hidden places. And now, you are stepping into that rare moment where everything God has been building in secret begins to align in the open. Your gift will meet your assignment. Your healing will match your influence. And when it happens, it won't be subtle. It will be clear. You will look up and realize you no longer live in the atmosphere of your old life. Others will wonder where you went, how you changed, how you slipped out of the box they built for you. You won't owe them an explanation. This is about transformation. Like Moses coming down from the mountain, his face radiant from the presence of God, you will return to the world carrying evidence of where you have been. Not everyone will understand. The ones meant to walk with you will recognize the new sound of your life. The others will fall away. Let them. You are changing dimensions. The version of you that was overlooked and underestimated has served its purpose. It kept you alive, but it is not the version crossing the Jordan River. God is reintroducing you. Wisdom, clarity, favor, these are your new garments. Where you once begged for validation, you will now be trusted with influence. Where you felt invisible, you will be seen and sent. This is elevation. You will feel it before you see it. Conversations will feel hollow. Old comforts will feel like compromise. That discomfort is confirmation. God is disconnecting you from what you have outgrown. It mirrors Elisha burning his plow. He left the familiar to step into the sacred. You must be willing to say goodbye to what fed the old you. You cannot shrink to fit into places that were only meant to grow you. If your presence makes others uncomfortable, let it be a sign that you have shifted. Keep moving. The past will try to call you back. Old patterns are seductive, but the future has already answered. The grace for the old places has lifted. And when you feel that undeniable sense that you no longer belong where you once did, don't fight it. Don't mourn the clothes that no longer fit. The friction is evidence of growth. Let the exit be unseen if it needs to be. You are not walking away from who you were. You are stepping into who you truly are. Not lost, not late, aligned. As this new timeline opens, there is a deeper transition. It is the shift in how you respond to blessing. When you have spent years in survival mode, waiting for the other shoe to drop, peace can feel terrifying. Your body learned to be alert, to anticipate pain. Now, as God moves you into favor, your soul is learning a new rhythm. It is learning to breathe without bracing. The absence of anxiety is not a sign of danger. It is a sign of healing. In returning and rest, you shall be saved. In quietness and trust shall be your strength. The peace you feel is the arrival of alignment. Your desires are shifting. What used to matter, the accolades, the applause, now seems trivial. You are gaining wisdom about what feeds your soul. Joy becomes quieter, more rooted. It is not a manic high. It is a steady stream. It walks with you. But with increase comes responsibility. You are called to steward this peace. You are no longer performing for worth. You are preserving stillness. Sometimes peace brings grief. You may grieve for how long you lived in dysfunction. You may grieve for the younger version of yourself who thought pain was normal. Let that grief come. Honor it. Then release it. Carrying old wounds into new promises is like tracking mud across a pristine floor. You are being invited to heal. Forgiveness is the doorway. The armor you wore to survive is heavy. Lay it down. This new chapter requires trust, not defense. You are undergoing a divine relocation. Your spiritual zip code is changing. Everything is being recalibrated. You are not just leveling up, you are being transformed. Just as Jacob wrestled in the dark and walked away with a limp and a new name, you are emerging marked. You will feel the weight of old cycles fall off. The doors that resisted you will swing wide. This move is permanent. You have been chosen, not as a backup plan, chosen by a God who knew your name before the stars were hung in the sky. He saw every breakdown. He saw every time you almost quit. And he said, now, this moment, this timeline, it is sacred ground. You didn't qualify by being perfect. You qualified by being faithful. Heaven heard you. The response is echoing across time. You are mine. I am taking you higher. The storm didn't break you. The fire didn't consume you. You will rise. This is not a delay. It is divine timing. A day with the Lord is like 1,000 years. The slow burn is turning into sudden fire. If you feel the tug, the pull, the current, it is God. You are being carried by calling. Like Ezekiel in the river, the water is getting too deep to stand. You must swim. You must float. Let God take over. It may look like risk to others, but it is safety to your soul. The familiar cannot contain you. Release the need to control. You are being pulled into purpose. The river will carry you home. Everything you leaned on is shaking. The structures are coming down. This is not destruction. It is dismantling. God is removing what can be shaken so that what cannot be shaken may remain. The pot is breaking so the roots can spread. David had to leave the sheepfold to find the throne. You have to leave the safe to find the sacred. It is not a setback. It is the tension before the launch. Release the roles that were never yours. Release the relationships assigned to your history, not your destiny. You are rising. God is reconstructing you from the inside out. He is building something eternal. Some things will leave quietly. Some doors will slam. Let them. God is doing a new thing. Do not dwell on the past. Do not water yourself down. You don't need to justify your growth. The air is thin at the top because not everyone can breathe there. Celebrate the stillness. This is where clarity comes. What felt like isolation was preparation. You are not retreating. You are advancing. Doors are opening because God spoke to them. You are stepping into access granted by covenant. Walk with quiet confidence. You have passed the test. The teacher is promoting you. This is the end of what was, and the start of what must be. All of heaven is watching. And when you arrive, you will see that none of it was wasted. The shaking, the silence, the exit, it was all part of the rise. You were never meant to remain where you were. You are being revealed. Peace may feel unfamiliar. Favor may feel heavy. But this is the beauty of alignment. Breathe. Receive. Walk slowly into the life rising to meet you. Let us seal this in prayer. Heavenly Father, we come before you with hearts wide open. We are trembling, but we are ready. We are ready to release what no longer serves and receive what you have prepared. You are the author of time. You never forget the seeds sown in silence. Thank you for seeing us. Thank you for being near in the breaking. We confess that change is hard. The unknown is frightening. But today, we say yes. We trust you. Just as you called Abraham, call us. Give us the courage to walk by faith. We surrender every false security. We lay down the titles and routines that limit us. We thank you for what they taught us, but we release them. We will not drag yesterday's pain into tomorrow's promise. Help us to know what to carry and what to leave. Give us the peace to be still. Give us the strength to grieve and the capacity to rejoice. Like Ruth, may we move into the fields of favor. Reintroduce us to ourselves, Lord. Show us who we are in your eyes. Strip away the shame. Remind us that we are chosen. Transform us. We speak your promises over this next chapter. Let respect flow from divine positioning. Let provision come to bless. Let healing flood us. Let peace be our mantle. We do not walk alone. You go before us. You shake what needs shaking. We do not fear the reconstruction. We speak alignment. We declare that we are not going back. We are being positioned. Seal this word in our hearts. Make it transformation. In the mighty name of Jesus, we pray. Amen. If this message has found a home in your spirit, if you felt the lock turn and the door open, then you know this was for you. You are standing on the precipice of the greatest chapter of your life. Do not look back. The view ahead is glorious. If you are ready to walk into this new season, signify it. Leave a simple Amen or I am ready in the comments below as a physical act of your spiritual agreement. And if you wish to continue this journey of faith and revelation, please like this message and subscribe to the channel. Let us walk this path together. Until next time, walk boldly, live freely, and stay aligned with the God who is writing your story. Peace be with you.